Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Friday to you and your family, and obviously have a wonderful weekend if we don't talk soon. That being said, we're going to take a look here, of course, at Ethereum, see what's going on. I get a lot of requests for this, and I'm just kind of trying to get back to making this a daily driver as well. Because obviously, even though it isn't exactly identical to Bitcoin, it has some similarities, and we want to understand that and recognize it, and ultimately kind of give us, what's best practice, big picture. Those are the things I like to try to touch on. Okay, so again, not a financial advisor, love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below. I actually provide you with a trading academy, community, and signal group where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. I provide you with an amazing opportunity to be able to kind of understand specifically how I trade and how I think when I trade, as well as, of course, community where we can all learn and grow together, interact with my members daily. It's a really awesome experience. So check that out in your own time. Okay, so here's what's going on with Ethereum. First of all, to preface, just kind of throw it out there in case you didn't watch my other video, Bitcoin has an increased amount of volume here today. That implies that we're seeing a lot of buying pressure at a specific price point and that we may not see the price come anywhere below 21,500. Again, there's a strong chance of that just based on how much buying pressure we have. But again, today being a Friday, there is profits to be taken, so bear that in mind as well. How that's relevant to Ethereum is the fact that increased volume from Bitcoin will essentially diminish the volume towards altcoins. Bitcoin dominance is higher. Therefore, in this sense here, we haven't seen quite the dramatic amount of volume as well as increase in price, mostly just that typical correlation between the two where the price goes up when Bitcoin does. Okay, so those things are relevant to understand in the big picture. But taking a look here though at Ethereum, let's go ahead and see the standard stuff. First of all, we're getting rejected off 50 on the RSI. We've been underneath 50 for some time now. In fact, back since April of the 10th, April 10th, we have been underneath there. So literally almost 3 months straight, we've been under 50 on the RSI. And that's mainly because the price action just continues to progress lower in the overall sense of things. And if you look at this trend line, we can see these descending trend lines here, working concurrent with the 50-day set moving average, etc., all kind of telling us that we're still under some key level resistances. Okay, so it's important to recognize that Ethereum, even though we could potentially be increasing from here, we're going to be hitting some resistances soon. Okay, specifically the 50-day SMA that's trending right around 1460. Okay, so it's going to be a little while before we get there, but if and when we do, we got to just make sure that we understand we're going to face some potential rejection there or resistance. Taking a look, of course, at the MACD, not much to note, just kind of telling us that this continuation to the upside is continuing. Big surprise there. We're about 5 days in, according to TD Sequential, whereas we could have another 4 or 5 more days to the upside before we hit that exhaustive state. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're about halfway through this potential trend, and it could very well continue. Again, could is the key word here because we are facing a strong resistance level right here at about 1285. You can see we wicked up there previously back on the 26th of June. That's been a couple weeks now. And we retested this level here again today. So what we could be seeing here is the start of a cup and handle. It's a great chance we could very well see that. But also more important, just the fact that we're retesting this resistance level and got rejected the first time. It's pretty standard stuff. Again, retesting a third, fourth, fifth time, that's where we start to see the magic happen. So again, if Bitcoin can continue to sustain itself, closes a doji candle or higher, maybe even a hammer up, we could very well see Ethereum do something very similar, but more likely than not, retest this level of 1285. Okay. But for now, we can see the price action kind of progressing down lower. In fact, we shorted Ethereum last night as soon as it spiked up to its highest point right at about 1270. And we were able to take some pretty serious profits already, upwards of, I think, 40%. And that was a good little trade. But what's great about it is we have our trailing stop loss. It's already triggered. So as soon as we hit our entry point, which I think was about 1260, it'll go ahead and close that position for us, taking that extra 60, 70, 80% profit. So awesome stuff there. Again, it's not about how frequent you trade or how big of a trade you get. It's about having consistency and making sure you position size effectively, but making sure you set realistic profit targets and having trailing stop losses in place. And unfortunately, only trading bots really can allow for you to do that. We use Cornix, but there's also 3Commas as well I've heard good things about. And that's just kind of what we're looking at there. Okay, so just heads up, letting you know. All right, taking a look here, of course, at RSI. We rejected off of 70 on the RSI, came back down, which is perfectly fine. I'd like to see the RSI come back down even lower. So it'd be great if the price came down to retrace to right around, just say 1200 even, and then bounced to continue to progress upwards, get that full-on cup and handle pattern. Okay, that'd be nice. But the reason why I want to see the RSI calm down is just so we don't get overextended again and we don't have to retrace like we did here previously. Speaking of which, let's take a look here as well. You can kind of see that we hit a 9 on TD sequential. So if you can see this here, we hit a 9, and that essentially just tells us that we're hitting that highest point. That's another reason why I felt comfortable taking our trade last night, is because we were overextended to the upside on the 4-hour from Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin is exuding the exact same behavior. So in that sense, a down play makes perfect sense, and the price coming back down to retrace is sensical. But at this point, how much lower can it go? Well, as we can see, the price action wicked all the way down to this Fibonacci retracement level, about 1195, and effectively bounced off there. Okay, so that could very well be the bounce we're looking for to get the price to shoot up here, of course, after a retest of this resistance. But the important thing to note is that we do have a few more hours or candlesticks, however you want to call it, to the downside potential. In other words, we're at a 3 right now and the price continues to progress lower. Honestly, as long as it doesn't come much lower than about 1180, we'll be fine. But the general sense here is if it continues to progress sideways or down, it wouldn't be a problem because the fact that it'd allow the RSI to calm down and give us that little reset to be able to increase again. Okay. So again, mostly good stuff here on the 4-hour. We can also see, though, potential MACD divergence. Okay, so again, even though we are forming a cup and handle and there's some pretty positive stuff there, we very well could see this happen. Okay, so again, just something to kind of recognize and acknowledge. There's no guarantees, of course, but the MACD is soon to diverge, and it's an important thing to recognize. Taking a look at TD sequential on the 1-hour, we can see, of course, we got this overexhausted state. We hit a 9, came back up to another 9, and then overtime. Again, that's exactly another reason why I decided to short Ethereum and Bitcoin last night. Very glad I did, of course, but at this point, it does look like with us being down to a 9 and hitting that rejection point at about 1200, 1195, we can see we have 3 more hours of potential upside. Or sorry, we are 3 hours into this potential upside of this retracement, this bounce back. That said, that really just tells us a lot in the sense that we could very well see a few more hours to the upside here. Okay, so again, a retest of 1280 I think is very, very likely. We should and likely could see that here soon. So ultimately, what we're seeing here at this point is a lot of positivity, but something to really note here as well is that the lagging span on the Ichimoku cloud, even though we're above the cloud right now, is telling us that we want to have taken our profits if we had to the upside. Now, that doesn't mean you want to just take a short position and the price is going to come down. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, the likelihood of the price coming down lower than 1200 is fairly low at this point, just based on the amount of volume support we have from Bitcoin at that specific price point, about 21,500. Okay, so again, good stuff's happening with Bitcoin. It's definitely looking good to likely continue to retest 23 or 24,000 soon. And if that is the case, then Ethereum will follow suit. But what we could experience is for the price action to, again, retest this level once more and then continue to back upwards. So I would say in general, big picture, long position is much more viable than a short position right now for Ethereum, but I would honestly prefer to wait a little bit longer for confirmation. I want to see what the 1-day candlestick closure is looking like on the daily for Bitcoin more specifically. Because if we look at Bitcoin here, we can see it's definitely pushing hard, and look at the amount of volume we have here. Literally last 3 days of volume put into one trading day. Okay, so again, with this not wanting to come any lower, that tells me there's a great chance we could very well see the price action continue higher, especially since it retests its previous resistance level at 21,500 as a support here recently. Again, a lot of good positive things going on from Bitcoin, and that translates over to Ethereum, and I think Ethereum will very likely continue to increase over the next few days. Just bear in mind, until we can get back up over 1280, we're still under a resistance level, and it may be just a little too early to tell, but I can say that this does look like it's a cup and handle pattern that wants to form. It's looking kind of like that. So get ready. If you see this come up and retest 1280, that's a firm indication that the price is likely going to continue higher. Okay, so again, pay attention to that. All right, so that's pretty much everything we've got here so far. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope this was helpful. I know I kind of jump off on some certain tangents there, but it's important to look at a lot of different things. And again, all we're doing is building a case, trying to figure out which direction things are heading. Okay, we can tell we were overexhausted to the upside here recently. We're in a slight retracement period. We have some nice support levels just below the key level areas, just such as 1195 or 1200, and we could very well should see the price action continue to increase if we can get a retest of 1280 and get that cup and handle to come to fruition. Okay, so good stuff there. I liked what I see here so far for Ethereum. Hope you had a good day, and appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.